Increased tariff rates on the primary processing country is a cost compounding event. Both vectors are moving in the same direction simultaneously. Open a can of water-packed tuna and you get that clean, mild ocean smell, the kind that reminds you it came from somewhere real not long ago. That smell is going to carry a higher price by the third quarter of 2026 based on the contracts being renegotiated right now. Starkist, Bumblebee, and Chicken of the Sea all source significantly from Thailand. Store-brand tuna at Walmart almost certainly comes from the same region through a co-packer. Add 6 to 12 cans to your next order before August. Number 3. Canned soup. Campbell's Soup is one of the most recognizable brands in American grocery. It has been on American shelves in essentially the same form since 1898. It feels like a fixed point, a category where disruption simply does not happen the way it does elsewhere. Campbell Soup Company reported on its second quarter fiscal 2026 earnings call in March 2026 that the company was managing through sustained input cost pressure across 3 primary areas: protein costs, vegetable commodity costs, and steel packaging costs. The Section 232 tariffs on imported steel, reinstated at 25% effective January 1st, 2026, affect the can manufacturing costs that Campbell's absorbs on every unit it ships. The Can Manufacturers Institute noted in February 2026 that domestic steel prices also increased in response to reimposed import tariffs as domestic producers adjusted pricing to the new floor those tariffs created. The cost increase is therefore double-sided. Imported steel costs more, and domestic steel costs more in response. Campbell's does not absorb those costs indefinitely. It passes them through price increases negotiated at the next contract renewal. A can of chicken noodle soup opened on a cold morning. The steam that rises, the salt and starch smell, the sound of it going into the pot. That combination is so embedded in American domestic life that the price increase, when it comes, will feel almost personal. It is not personal. It is a steel tariff, a wheat cost, and a protein input all landing on the same product at the same time. Campbell's has historically renegotiated its Walmart supply agreement on an 18-month cycle. The current contract period is due for renewal in the third quarter of 2026. The price that comes out of that renegotiation will be higher than what is on the shelf today. Stock 12 to 18 cans across your preferred varieties now. The product stays. The price does not. Number 2. Canned refried beans. Canned refried beans look like the least vulnerable item on any list. They are cheap, they are domestic, they are made from a crop that grows across the American Southwest and northern Mexico. It would take a real alignment of unusual forces to move the price on something this basic. Those forces are aligned right now. The 2025 dry bean harvest across the primary growing states, North Dakota, Michigan, Nebraska, and Minnesota, came in 14% below the 5-year average, according to the USDA's November 2025 crop production summary. Drought conditions across the northern plains through July and August of 2025, cataloged weekly by the U.S. Drought Monitor, reduced yields in what was already a lower acreage planting year. The USDA's March 2026 prospective plantings report showed producers were not recovering those acres in 2026, forecasting another below-average dry bean acreage nationally as farmers continued to favor commodity crops with stronger immediate margins. For Mexican-sourced pinto beans, the primary ingredient in most refried bean formulations, the 25% tariff on Mexican agricultural imports, effective February 2026 under the expanded Section 301 schedule, increased landed costs meaningfully for importers. Most major processors, including Rosarita and Old El Paso, use a blend of domestic and imported pintos. Both supply lines are under pressure simultaneously. Refried beans from the can have that warm, earthy smell, slightly smoky in the traditional lard variety, clean and neutral if vegetarian. They store for 3 years at minimum and deliver one of the highest calorie per dollar ratios in the entire canned food section. The price is about to move in a category most shoppers have entirely stopped thinking about. Buy a case while the price still reflects contract terms not yet renegotiated. This is not a category with visible warning signs before the price moves. By the time you notice, it has already moved. The window is narrow. Number 1. Canned ham. Canned ham looks like a product from another era, and in some ways it is. But what is about to happen to its price and availability is entirely current, a supply chain story playing out right now that most shoppers are completely unaware of, and that is exactly why it sits at the top of this list. The United States imports a significant portion of its canned ham from Denmark and Poland, primarily through Tulip Food Company and Sokowoff, whose products appear under various brand names and private label arrangements across American retail. In January 2026, The expanded Section 232 steel tariff schedule, reinstated at 25%, was confirmed to apply to imported metal containers as well as raw steel, which directly affects the tin-plated steel cans in which European processed ham is shipped to the United States. That single tariff affects the container before anyone even considers the product inside it. Simultaneously, the Section 301 tariff schedule updated in January 2026 included processed pork products from the European Union at an effective rate of 20%, up from 12% under the prior schedule. The combination of a 25% metal tariff on the container and a 20% product tariff on the contents represents a cost structure no importer can absorb for long. Walmart's contract with its primary canned ham suppliers, based on the typical 18-month retail contract cycle in the imported meat category, is due for renegotiation in the third quarter of 2026. The USDA's Foreign Agricultural Service reported in February 2026 that European pork processors were already prioritizing Asian and Middle Eastern export markets over U.S. retail due to more favorable tariff conditions in those markets. When your supplier has better options elsewhere, your access to their product at a reasonable price becomes negotiable in a way it was not before. That is a significant shift in leverage for American retailers, and not in their favor. Open a can of ham and you get that dense, slightly smoky smell of cured pork, essentially unchanged, since these products were developed for military provisioning. What is changing is the entire cost architecture behind getting it from a European facility to an American shelf. A processor dealing with a 20% product tariff and a 25% can tariff simultaneously does not quietly accept reduced margins. They reduce export volume to the market, creating the problem, and American retail absorbs the consequence in the form of fewer SKUs, longer resupply timelines, and a price reflecting every layer of that architecture at once. This is the item most people on this list never see coming. It sits in the most overlooked corner of the canned meat section. Stock it now, across several brands, before the renegotiated contracts go live. This is the one. These are not 11 separate problems. They are one pressure: a reimposed tariff structure, simultaneous harvest shortfalls, and a metal packaging cost increase, showing up in 11 different cans on the same aisle at the same time. The steel tariff touches the salmon can, the soup can, the ham container, and the evaporated milk tin. The harvest shortfall hits the salmon run, the dry bean yield, and the dairy supply. The import tariff hits the Italian tomatoes, the Thai tuna, the corned beef, and the European ham. One pressure system, 11 aisles. Two types of people will walk into Walmart in September. The first type finds options missing and prices higher and does not know why. The second type made a quiet decision in June and July. When the salmon section is down to one option, that second person is already eating it. When the tuna goes up 30 cents, they already paid the old price. When the ham that cost $4 now costs $6, they are not surprised. They read the contract calendar. They made a calm, informed decision before August. Not a bunker, not dramatic, just timing. If you found something useful here, drop a comment about which item surprised you most. The canned ham story, two tariffs hitting the container and the contents simultaneously, tends to catch people off guard. Tell me what you did not expect.